The Verdict, a Sidebar production, hosted by Kent Myers and Mick Cornett. As a part of its traditional and continuing commitment to public and community service, Crow & Dunlevy sponsors The Verdict. Also sponsored by Delta Dental, Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, and C.H. Guernsey & Company. Each week on The Verdict, we present an objective discussion of contemporary and legal issues, topical issues that will affect Oklahomans in their daily lives. The Verdict, a Sidebar production.
And welcome once again to The Verdict. I'm Mick Cornett, and I am joined as always by one of Oklahoma's top legal experts, Kent Myers. And Kent, today, a special guest.
We have Dr. Jack Beller, the president-elect of the Oklahoma State Medical Association, that's been kind enough to join us today. We're going to go back to a subject that we talked about a couple of weeks ago with Jim Loftus, who was the president of the Oklahoma Trial Lawyers Association, and that is the subject of the dramatic increases in cost of medical malpractice insurance that physicians have to pay. There's something causing those malpractice rates to go way up, and it's causing problems in Oklahoma as well as elsewhere. Jim Loftus talked about it a couple of weeks ago. Dr. Beller today is going to address it, and we're going to get to see this question from a different perspective. I think it will be quite interesting, and I think this is really not the last show or information our viewers will get about this, because there is likely to be legislation both federally and on a state basis about it that our viewers will want to follow.
Yeah, it's a subject that doctors are certainly interested in, lawyers, of course, and the general public, because almost everyone has a doctor.
That's right. That's right, and the cost of health care is of concern to everybody, and this is just one aspect of that. But it's the doctors are the ones that are basically paying the price for this, and the question is, why is it going up the way it's going up? And that's what we'll try to figure out.
Well, let's get started. This morning, a look at the high cost to practice medicine. Why is medical malpractice insurance so costly? This is The Verdict.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
The Verdict is pleased to have as a sponsor C.H. Guernsey & Company, providing architectural and engineering services to clients throughout the U.S. and around the world.
American Express Tax and Business Services. We're accountants. We do taxes, business valuations, estate planning, and consulting. And we're right here in Oklahoma, working with the owners of small and medium-sized businesses. Steve Wilsey and Stuart Meyer have the resources and the experience. American Express Tax and Business Services. In Oklahoma City, the phone number is 405-843-5311.
And Blankenship has stopped at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play. Leaving it 4th and 7 on the Tiger 46-yard line. 38 seconds on the clock. The Tigers have no choice but to go for it. Wiggins in to do the kicking. Here's the snap. And the kick is away.
All children deserve a life of hope and love. But sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all of the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. Oklahoma Lawyers for Children has over 350 of the best attorneys and volunteers in Oklahoma County who donate their time and services to represent children. For more information, call 405-23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
Back to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Myers is going to introduce our guest.
Today, we're really pleased to have Dr. Jack Beller, the president-elect of the Oklahoma State Medical Association, with us. In about 3 weeks, he'll assume the reins as as president of that association and jump right into the middle of an issue that we're talking about today, and that is the increased cost of medical malpractice insurance in Oklahoma and elsewhere. Dr. Beller was born and raised in Oklahoma, has an active medical practice as an orthopedic surgeon in Norman. He was educated at both OSU and the University of Oklahoma. He's been active in medical association activities for many years. He's married, has 3 daughters, one of whom is an attorney, and 1 granddaughter. Dr. Beller, thanks for taking time out from a very busy schedule to join us on The Verdict.
Well, thank you for asking me to be here.
We're really pleased you could do this. Let's talk about what has happened nationally first to medical malpractice insurance premiums. I take it they're going up, but all insurance premiums are going up. Are they going up more rapidly than corresponding insurance?
Well, what we noticed from the Oklahoma State Medical Association about 2 years ago was what was happening nationally with the medical liability crisis. Medical liability insurance was going up at such a drastic rate in some states that physicians were retiring early or closing their practice and moving to a more stable area. We saw that that was headed to Oklahoma, and we decided that we didn't want that to happen in Oklahoma. We didn't want an access to care crisis occur with the patients we have in Oklahoma. So we decided to try to take a proactive stance to try to manage this issue before it became a crisis in Oklahoma. Nationally, the rates of medical liability insurance have gone through the roof. And in Oklahoma, the physicians in 2003, this year, are paying 60% more for their medical liability insurance than they paid in 2002.
Just 1 year, it's a 60% increase.
Just 1 year is a 60% increase, and that was what we were noticing in the states in crisis around the country about 2 years ago. So what has happened around the country is here in Oklahoma with this medical liability insurance crisis.
Let me follow up nationally just a little bit. I've just seen on TV, I think, that there have been a couple of states where doctors have actually withheld services or threatened to withhold services because of trying to draw attention to this. And I know the doctors here in Oklahoma have gathered together a time or two. Is there any likelihood that doctors in Oklahoma would withhold services?
Well, I would certainly hope not. We are dedicated to taking care of our patients, and even in these states where there has been publicized a withholding of services, there was no withholding of emergency care. All emergency rooms and emergency care was taken care of. It was only some doctors just decided to take a month off vacation, and that was their statement that they cannot any longer afford this medical liability crisis that is happening in their states, and we don't want it to happen in Oklahoma.
Okay, they're going up, but why are they going up? Why are rates going up so drastically?
What we have found in Oklahoma is that the payouts of the insurance company have gone up drastically in the last 2 years. The numbers that we have show that from 1991 through 2000, our medical liability insurance payouts in Oklahoma averaged about $18 million a year. That was a gradual increase, but a manageable increase. For 2001 and 2002, for those 2 years, the average payouts were $33 million a year. So we've gone from an average over a 10-year period of $18 million to an average in 2 years of $33 million, and that's what's caused our medical liability premiums to go up 60% this year.
How much of the increase can be attributable to jury verdicts rendered by Oklahoma juries in favor of plaintiffs who were patients?
We have seen jury verdicts increase about 54% since 2 years ago. So there's been a significant increase in jury verdicts.
Is this the size of the verdicts? Is that what you're referring to, or the number of verdicts?
No, this is the size, the average size of the individual verdicts. It's not a cumulative of the
Well, is there one or
payouts.
two cases that might have skewed these numbers, or do you see some across the board
increase in jury verdicts.
There are across-the-board verdict increases, and what that does is it also has an effect on the settlements, because from just a business standpoint, if the chance of having a multi-million-dollar settlement is out there, then it will force the company to settle for a higher amount than they normally would. So both settlements and verdicts have both gone up just through the ceiling, through the roof in the last couple of years in Oklahoma.
And I guess just in sheer numbers, there are a lot more settlements than there are jury verdicts.
There certainly are. There are probably 10 times as many settlements as there are verdicts, but it's the large verdicts that started driving the settlements up as well.
As the OSMA, are you all pointing blame at any one of the factors that come along in this, or is it simply jury verdicts, or is there a scapegoat in your mind?
The jury verdicts are the major problem that's causing the increase in medical liability insurance premiums. If you look at a graph of the jury verdicts and the settlements and the graph of the premiums, they're very parallel. And that is the obvious thing that's causing this increase in medical liability premiums is the size of the jury verdicts and the required size of the settlements secondary to that.
Let me, Jim Loftus was on a couple of weeks ago and suggested that there might be another cause, and I'd just like your thought about it, and that is that the insurance companies think, aha, we have doctors who can pay high premiums, let's charge them higher premiums than we do on homeowners policies or something like that. And the attitude of the insurance company to kind of sock it to the doctor, do you think that's contributing at all, or any evidence of that?
I grin at that because Jim and I have been on similar programs together over the last few months, and he makes that allegation each time we're on. And the fact of the matter is, in Oklahoma, we have a very unique situation. And the Oklahoma State Medical Association owns its own medical liability insurance company. We follow what happens very, very closely. It's not some big company that sits back in New York City and pays dividends to its stockholders. We own it. It's nonprofit. We know exactly what's paid out, exactly what the costs are, and we do not invest $1 in the stock market. The other contention that Jim has made is that, oh, these are just stock market losses that they're trying to make up for. We don't have $1 invested in the stock market. It can't be a stock market loss. Our payouts that we have found with our medical liability insurance have gone up, and they've gone up dramatically in the last few years, and that is the only reason that our premiums have gone up.
Let me jump in here and get us to a short break. We're visiting with Dr. Jack Beller. He's the president-elect of the Oklahoma State Medical Association. You're watching The Verdict.
St. Gregory's University has been changing the lives of people like me for 125 years. Affordable private Catholic education balanced with dedication to community and service makes St. Gregory special. We're extremely proud of our students' outstanding academic achievements and our nationally ranked athletic teams. It's when you help a student build a future of balance, integrity, and service that you change a life forever. St. Gregory's, a community for life.
We are C.H. Guernsey & Company. We provide engineering, architecture, and consulting services to clients across the nation and around the world. Our corporate headquarters are located in Oklahoma City, and we have branch offices across the country, including Tulsa. We have provided quality service to clients for nearly 75 years. At Guernsey, we believe in quality work and unconditional client satisfaction. To learn more about C.H. Guernsey & Company, log on to our website at chguernsey.com.
Bringing out the best in each student. That is the simple goal and tradition of Heritage Hall. The focus on the individual shapes the educational experience at Heritage Hall. Each student benefits from small classes, able, dedicated teachers, a solid academic curriculum, and exceptional co-curricular programs of athletics, arts, community service, and other activities, parental involvement, personalized counseling, and the development of responsibility, integrity, and love of learning. If you want education taught with pride, then you want Heritage Hall.
I enrich our cultural landscape.
I help define our quality of life. I am one of 4,000 artists in central Oklahoma who receive
support from Allied Arts, this community's united arts organization.
I am an Allied artist.
Mick Cornett, Kent Myers back on The Verdict. We're talking to the president-elect of the Oklahoma State Medical Association, Dr. Jack Beller. Kent, where do we go from here?
We talked just before the break about things going on in other states and how doctors are having concerns and objections to dramatically increasing premiums. Do you see any danger in Oklahoma, Dr. Beller, of Oklahoma physicians retiring early because of this or leaving the state to go other places? Or is there any danger that you see in our citizens not having access to the same number of physicians in the future that they have now?
Well, we're beginning to see in Oklahoma what happened in the other states. We are not yet to the point as in Pennsylvania where 1,000 doctors have left the state in the last year and a half because of the medical liability issue. We have not yet closed the only level 1 trauma center in the state, which happened in Nevada. But we're beginning to see in Oklahoma things that were the precursors to that in the other states, such as there are family doctors who no longer deliver babies just because of the cost of their medical liability insurance, causing their patients to have to drive a long way to get that care. We're beginning to see high-risk professions in the medical profession not provide those high-risk procedures. So we are beginning to see that in Oklahoma, and what we're trying to prevent is that full-blown crisis that's happened in other states.
Governor Henry has put together a task force. He's asked you to serve on it. What can you tell me about this task force?
Well, the task force has now met twice, and we have in the task force agreed that all specific questions will be fielded by the chairman of the task force, who is Dean Andy Coates. So all specific questions would have to go to him, but I can give you a general outline. The governor appointed a task force that consists of myself as a practicing physician, Dr. Ed Brandt, who is a professor at the University of Oklahoma Health Science Center. There are some defense lawyers, there are some plaintiffs' lawyers, and then there's Dean Coates, who is the chairman of the task force as the law school dean.
And what's your mission? What did Governor Henry ask you to do?
He charged us with finding out why we are having an increase in the medical liability insurance premiums in Oklahoma, and he has charged us with recommending to the legislature a program to correct this.
And you're hoping to get something done in this session?
We have to get something done in this session. We've placed a timeline that the governor has given us to have some recommendation from this task force in time for the legislature to consider it before the end of the session.
Well, let's talk a little bit about some aspects of what some proposed legislation might include. I know there was legislation introduced early on that's now kind of on hold until your task force reports. But one part of it that gets a good bit of publicity is a proposal to limit non-economic damages, and by that I'm referring basically to pain and suffering damages as opposed to medical bills and economic out-of-pocket damages. To limit non-economic damages to $250,000 per case, I guess, per patient. What can you tell us about that proposal?
Well, the precursor to that is that there is nothing in our proposal or any proposal that's been made that limits any patient's ability to recover any actual losses. Those are unlimited. And that's one thing that kind of gets glossed over as the trial attorneys are discussing this.
Those are the economic damages.
These are the economic damages. There is no effort to limit those. In fact, we fully support any patient who has had an injury being able to recoup all of their economic damages. It's the non-economic damages that we think should have a reasonable limit. And this is not an untried experiment. This has happened in California starting in 1975, placed a $250,000 cap on non-economic damages, and it has stabilized their medical liability insurance system so that California is one of only 6 states in the country who do not find themselves in some type of medical liability crisis as we sit here today.
And they have that kind of limitation.
They have a $250,000 cap on just non-economic damages, not the economics. Those are still unlimited.
There's another aspect that the lawyers are concerned about and talk about, and that is apparently a proposal to limit the amount of attorneys' contingent fees in this context. Tell us about that.
That also is a part of the California bill, which is called MICRA, Medical Injury Compensation Reform Act in California, if you ever hear of MICRA referred to. And the contingency limitation is based on what has happened in California. And the reason that we suggest that that is necessary is that we know right now that of all the money that's paid out, the patients end up with only about 45% of that. The rest of that 55% goes to the legal system. So we think that if there's a patient who has an injury, the patient should end up with the money and not the legal system. So we've proposed a limit on contingency fees that gradually decreases as the award goes up based on the California system.
Dr. Beller, we got about just over a minute left in the show. I'd like to give you a chance just to pretty much state your mind on the issues that we've been talking about today. Feel free to look at the camera and address the people of Oklahoma and tell them what you think.
Thank you. Well, we from the Oklahoma State Medical Association do not want a crisis to occur in Oklahoma that we've seen around the country. We do not want our patients to lose the access to care that they have had. We have looked around the country to find out what has happened to make the medical liability system stabilized. We have proposed this to the legislature, and now it's being considered by the governor's task force. Our whole effort in this is to maintain the access to care that our patients have. We would like to emphasize that this is not about the cost of being a doctor in Oklahoma. This is about the cost of being a patient in Oklahoma. Are you going to have to pay more for your care, and are you going to lose that care?
Dr. Beller, thank you for coming by. We're going to have to wrap it up there.
Thank you, Doctor.
Kent and I'll be back with a few final thoughts when we return. You're watching The Verdict with Mick Cornett, Kent Myers, and our guest, Dr. Jack Beller.
And that's the office.
Uh-huh.
Oh, those are my territories.
Uh-huh.
Think being a big brother means taking time out of your schedule to tutor a kid in algebra? Think again. To learn more about becoming a big brother or big sister, call 1-888-412-BIGS.
We are C.H. Guernsey & Company. We provide engineering, architecture, and consulting services to clients across the nation and around the world. Our corporate headquarters are located in Oklahoma City, and we have branch offices across the country, including Tulsa. We have provided quality service to clients for nearly 75 years. At Guernsey, we believe in quality work and unconditional client satisfaction. To learn more about C.H. Guernsey & Company, log on to our website at chguernsey.com. American Express Tax and Business Services. We're accountants. We do taxes, business valuations, estate planning, and consulting. And we're right here in Oklahoma, working with the owners of small and medium-sized businesses. Steve Wilsey and Stuart Meyer have the resources and the experience. American Express Tax and Business Services. In Oklahoma City, the phone number is 405-843-5311.
And Blankenship has stopped at the line of scrimmage. No gain on the play. Leaving it 4th and 7 on the Tiger 46-yard line. 38 seconds on the clock. The Tigers have no choice but to go for it. Wiggins had to do the kicking. Here's the snap. And the kick is away.
St. Gregory's University has been changing the lives of people like me for 125 years. Affordable private Catholic education, balanced with dedication to community and service, makes St. Gregory special. We're extremely proud of our students' outstanding academic achievements and our nationally ranked athletic teams. It's when you help a student build a future of balance, integrity, and service that you change a life forever. St. Gregory's, a community for life.
Welcome back to The Verdict. We're here to wrap up another edition, our 101st episode of The Verdict. Another good show.
Verdict 101 was on the cost of medical malpractice insurance in Oklahoma. Of course, verdict number 99 had Jim Loftus talking from the trial lawyer's perspective, giving another view on some of these subjects. And Mick, I think it would be great once the legislature does whatever it's going to do, assuming there's something pending out there, to get these guys back in a debate format and let our viewers hear a little bit more about what the specific legislation is going to do if enacted.
Well, we can get our viewers involved a little bit before that. I want you to go to our website and really take some thought and answer a question that we'd like your input upon. Let's take a look at it here. Should legislation be enacted in Oklahoma to limit awards to plaintiffs because of physician malpractice? That's the question we'd like you to go to our website and answer. Now, what's the website address? Well, it is theverdict.tv, not .com, but .tv, theverdict.tv. Should legislation be enacted in Oklahoma to limit awards to plaintiffs because of physician malpractice? We'd like to hear from you.
One final thought, Larry Blankenship, executive producer of The Verdict, get well. We want you back soon. We need you, and we hope you're feeling better, Larry.
And we'll see you next week on The Verdict.